Hi there. Welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Now we've got Carla Rose Kelly. Hi, Carla.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome.
thank you.
Carla Rose Kelly is a global music award-winning composer and performer in the healing, meditation, music, medicine, ambient, and lullaby music categories. Carla's education includes 3 post-secondary degrees and a master's in the healing arts. During her 25 years teaching piano and theory at Royal Conservatory of Music, she became involved in music and medicine research in 2007. She presently has 4 published research papers. She holds 4 patents in Canada, US, and Japan, inventing the first new healing instruments with the Solfeggio sacred scales, including the methodology to heal. She runs an international training program in music medicine. This patented program bridges the latest research across the multidisciplinary fields in the science and sound with spirituality, music, and medicine psychology, neuroscience, math, neurobiology, and neurotheology. It encompasses a beautiful connection of how profoundly powerful music can be for healing. She is a playwright and co-composer and producer for the 2018 musical Let the Music Come Alive. It's a new Canadian musical telling the tale of how a young girl uses music to help her father's heart heal. In 2020, she published her first book, Down and Dirty: Emotional Healing, which is available on Amazon. The book outlines a simple 3-step program that anyone can use to help heal and master their emotions using free music medicine she offers. She developed a baby music program based on the research on how music affects the developing brain called Lil Musicians Club. It hosts 100 new nursery rhymes that she wrote specifically to empower the developing brain. Sounds like you're not bored, huh?
No. Music, healing, and uncovering the secrets of the universe are my passion and the reason I get up every morning. So I'm super excited to be doing this with you today, Jonathan, or not Jonathan, sorry, David. Thank you very much.
Uh, what? So, what have you been up to lately?
Well, moving to BC, we're living in the mountains now. So in BC, Canada. So I'm in Fernie, BC. It's a snow, there's a snow resort here.
Oh,
So,
okay, cool.
mhm.
Okay, so we got the big question. If you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help people on the planet?
Okay, big question. I think I would like to see everyone have a home, a roof over their head with enough food to eat. I think that um, that would help a lot of people. You know, when we have that place to call home, we have that sense of security and safety every day. And from there, we can build up our life. So I think that would be a good place to start.
Excellent, nice. Okay, so what is your presentation about today?
Okay, I wanted to take a look back through history to just a brief one to see what we know about music medicine and then bridge it to the present day use. And hopefully this will help connect some of the dots in people's understanding of music medicine.
Great, welcome. Go
Okay.
ahead and begin. I'm looking forward.
Okay, so in the beginning, music was medicine. Our earliest known records to man show that music exclusively had a sacred purpose for divination and healing. It was the medicine of the people at the beginning of time because they understood its inherent powers. Using music as entertainment was not in existence at all. So if anyone was sick, a music medicine person was called upon that could bring the mind, body, and soul back in balance. The music medicine person was the equivalent of today's doctor. So one music medicine person could heal all ills of the mind, body, and soul. But it went beyond that. Music was also very empowering, attuning people to the keys of the universal wisdom and communion with God. People were becoming so powerful as they healed themselves and became enlightened. Music was known to be the way to ascension. So, in fact, the original purpose of music as recorded is for healing and ascension only. Then there was a certain point in history when the sacred power of music was hidden from the masses as secularization set in, and music evolved into entertainment as we know it today. However, the sacred powers within music to heal and ascend didn't diminish. The wisdom was just not available to the masses as the science behind our modern medicine grew. So, right now, we're at a wonderful time in history to awaken the wisdom within ourselves of the sacred superpowers within music, educate ourselves, and use it again as medicine. So, let's take a look at what was documented from our earliest historical notes around music and its powers and see what we can discover. So, we're going to look at Greek's mythology around the harp. So, according to Greek mythology, Zeus, the king of gods, had twin boys, Hermes and Apollo. Hermes invented the lyra or harp, a musical instrument bestowed with the qualities that would invoke and communicate the messages of God. The harp's tuning and voice weren't for pleasure or entertainment, but rather had a purely sacred purpose. It was for healing and ascension. The harp would harmonically translate divine information or the messages from the God into vibration that supports our healing and our ascension. So Hermes passes the lyre onto his twin Apollo. Apollo was the god of medicine, music, poetry, and archery, and was the caregiver for the basses. He possessed knowledge of advanced healing processes and ascension way beyond the cycle of life and death. Apollo, in turn, passed the harp on to Orpheus, his son. Orpheus had superhuman musical abilities, but he chose to misuse the lyre to woo a woman under the disguise of an apparent healing session. So he was manipulating her for unethical personal purposes and using a sacred instrument to do so. So this was not okay. Orpheus was shredded to pieces as a result, and the harp went into the heavens as Lyra constellation to guide the masses with its light. So the moral of the story is that the harp is to be used only for the purpose it was created, divine messenger for healing and ascension. So what do we know about Lyra? Lyra's constellation has 9 stars. So this is very interesting. 9's an important number in the spiritual understanding of numerology. Each of the 9 stars has its own vibrational significance to the numerological patterns of creation itself in its entirety, from birth all the way to ascension. The 9 stars are said to illumine and open the way home for every soul. The use of its harmonics of light, sound, and geometry is for the expansion of consciousness. Now, today in Wales, the constellation Lyra is known as King Arthur's harp or David's harp. So let's take a look at David's harp. There's a popular biblical story of David playing the harp to heal King Saul's madness, but the exact frequencies and the number of strings aren't indicated anywhere in the Bible. So we don't really know much about the harp that was used. However, in another part of the Bible, in the book of Numbers, secret vibrations were hidden for over 200 years, 2,000 years. And Dr. Pulio of Idaho, US, recently decoded these 6 healing frequencies through divine communication. 3 more numbers were deciphered, excuse me, through the wisdom of numerology, completing the 9 healing vibrations in total. Now, I'd like to share a very personal story that happened to me that I find very profound. I was practicing sound healing at the time and doing some research on the health benefits of music on anxiety, depression, and pain. And I attended a sound conference where I was introduced to the 9 healing frequencies. And at that time, I wasn't much interested in them, but just noted that they were available. In 2009, I came home from a chiropractic appointment where I felt very, very aligned and opened. And a voice told me to get out a piece of paper and draw a handheld harp. So I did. Then the voice told me to put the 9 healing frequencies on it that I had learned about at the sound conference. So, not knowing anything about them or even remembering what they were, I looked them up and then put them on 9 strings on this harp. Then the voice told me to have it made. A few days later, I attended a folk festival in the park, and there was a luthier there who made custom harps. So I'm saying to myself, wow, like this is really amazing, so aligned. So I asked him to make the harp. And a few months later, I had the harp in my hands. Not knowing anything about how to play a stringed instrument, I asked the luthier if he would teach me how to play, and he sort of laughed and said, I don't know anything about these 9 notes or how to make music with them. So I was on my own, took it home, and started to play. I was guided to pick it up and use it during my healing sessions, and the guidance showed me where to place it on the body. Sometimes I put it on the chest, sometimes the belly or the legs, or I asked the client to turn over and I would put it on their back or the back of their legs and play it. The clients reported the healing was much more powerful than they'd ever experienced from me in our practice together. It would remove pain faster, open up meridian lines, clear and heal the chakra system faster, release karma, emotional stress, distress, and bring clarity into the mind very, very quickly. So miracle after miracle was happening. And even when I did a sonic bliss, which is a group healing session where people would be on yoga mats on the floor, I would play the harp into the room. And the harmonics and the voice of the 9 strings would heal each person very uniquely for what they were whatever was going on in their own personal life. So each person would report their own profound experience, but with complete relevance for what they were going through on a personal level. So no 2 people had the same experience, but all reported extraordinary experiences. I would take away the vibrations would take away one person's pain, bring clarity into the mind of another, release tensions and anxieties in another person. Emotional traumas would be released in someone else, while yet another person was having a highly spiritual experience. So amazing, the same music was affecting each person exactly for what that individual needed and healing mind, body, and soul all at the same time. So one frequency wasn't doing one thing, but multidimensional healing all at once. As the practitioner, I was guided with exactly what to play, which of the 9 notes to play, in which order, or all together, when to start and when to stop. So I just followed the guidance exactly. Words would come in and I would sing these along with the harp. And the methodology in which to use the harp became very clear and consistent. It was only to be used for healing and ascension. And I was to be centered in love the entire time, set the intention to heal. And so I did. It healed every person for what they were going through in their life. And it brought in wisdom around the root cause of a person's ill health and how to go forward in a different, more divine way so they wouldn't recreate the health issues. The harp delivered healing and wisdom for spiritual unfoldment, just like the harp in the Greek mythology. The harp healed spiritual madness, like in the story of David healing King Saul's madness, and it brought great healing and ascension, like the Greek mythology taught. So here is the sacred scale harp with the 9 frequencies on it. It's very light and small and lies on the body with only a couple of pounds. So is this sacred scale harp with the 9 healing frequencies similar to what David played to heal King Saul's madness? No, there's no proof that it is, and we'll never know for sure. But perhaps there is some consistencies here. So, but here are a few things that the sacred scale harp has taught me, but not limited to these few things that I'll tell you now. Number 1, that we're all made in the same likeness as God. And number 2, that each soul on earth is here to eventually ascend into a God essence, to reach a fully illuminated self. We come to earth each with our own karma to heal and learn how to turn everything into love and light. And when we can do this and reach our fully illuminated selves, we don't need to come back and incarnate on earth any longer, but rather reside in the heavens as a bright star, like in the Lyra constellations, to guide others on earth on their journey of ascension. Number 3, mathematically, the harmonies of the Fibonacci spiral of creation fit into every single one of the 9 frequencies over and over again. I show the mathematics in my music medicine courses, and it's fascinating. You see the creative energy happening in spirals within the 9 frequencies right on paper. So this may not make sense to you right now because you haven't taken my course, but it's like seeing a divine matrix of creation on paper for the God code. Number 4, when the harp is played for you, you're being entrained to this God code of creation itself. So that's why the healing is easy and ascension takes place at the same time. What we do know about the sacred scale harp is that the 9 frequencies hold God creative power. What we do know is this is a new sound healing instrument that can be used for music medicine. I never dreamt of inventing musical instruments. I just followed guidance. I never dreamed of patenting an invention or methodology to heal, but when it was guided in as important, I just followed that guidance. The sacred scale harp has taught me new healing techniques, which have come right from source. It helped me heal and so many others on so many levels. It's brought in so much wisdom about root causes of diseases that I teach in my courses and help to open up my gifts and talents and really align myself for all those I play it for. And it opens up their gifts and talents and their true soul purposes aligned. What we do know is that it is not to be played for pleasure or entertainment, and there's no rehearsing or practicing. It's strictly for healing and ascension, and it definitely offers that. And number 5, what we do know is that you can't create disharmony or dissonance with it. The reason is all 9 notes are in harmony with each other. It's not possible to create dissonance with it. And I repeat, all 9 notes are in harmony with each other. So it's an instrument that you can improvise music very easily. There's no theory rules, no sharps, no flats, no chordal progressions that you have to follow. There's no key signatures. It's all inclusive, all 9 notes, all the time, with complete musical freedom of expression, musical perfection, musical ease, musical power for healing and ascension. So lastly, I feel incredibly honored to have listened to that voice in my head to draw the harp and then put the 9 strings on it. This harp is for humanity to heal and ascend when you're ready. So I want to wrap up by saying that there's a lot of popular interest concerning the powers within music for healing today. And is there more going on than just notes and rhythm? Of course there is. There's so much more going on. We're being entrained to the vibrations around us every second of every day. In fact, there's so much research today in the field of music and medicine, and I feel really privileged to be part of that. It's very exciting, and it ignites my soul to be part of that. So for anyone interested, you can sign up for a half-hour healing online with me and the Sacred Harp to experience the healing and ascension that it can offer. And if anyone's interested in learning how to use the harp and becoming a music medicine specialist with my patented methodology, you're welcome to contact me at info@carlarosekelly.com. And my website is sacredscale.ca. Thank you, David.
Cool. So tell me, are these solfeggio frequencies? Because you never mentioned solfeggio.
They are, yes, they're the ones that Dr. Puleo decoded from the Bible. So it's 174 through, 285, 396, and so on, right? The nine that he decoded.
Well, Joseph Paleo is, yeah. And
Puleo, sorry.
I got an interesting story about this is a lot of people think those frequencies are ancient from Gregorian chant and such, but Joseph Paleo actually did this about 30 years ago, where he actually did numerology on the Bible, and he did it in an unusual way, not the normal numerology way, but the fact that just these 6 or 9, and also our instructor, 2 of our instructors came up with another 9 out of the
Oh,
blue at the same time. Both of them got downloads at the same time. And it's just
wow.
reordering the numbers in different orders on the phone keypad, actually. I don't know if you know, but solfeggio are all the numbers on the phone keypad up and down. It's interesting. So anyway, yeah, it's a unusual where he takes a whole paragraph and then changes it to a number, but it's just bizarre, right? That there's only these numbers came up. And then if you map them on a circle of 24, then you get the Coptic cross. I mean, there's all these different mathematical things that are really interesting. But then I was talking to a medical intuitive, and he said, here's some he was working on my teeth, because he says that a lot of energy gets stuck in the teeth, and those are connected to meridians. They can make you sick. And he did a clearing, and I said, Michael, is there a frequency for that? And he went through a few frequencies, and one of them was 852. And I said, oh, that's a solfeggio frequency. A lot of people think it's ancient, but they got confused when they added the solfege vowels from Father Guido from 1000 AD. That's where the ancient thing came from, was the vowels, not the frequencies. And people were confused. It's not actually ancient. It's actually from Joseph Paleo. And he says, let me check. And he goes, whoa. He goes, whoa. Holy moly. He goes, 852 created the universe. And I'm like, well, maybe it's a little older than we thought, right?
Yeah, I mean, the mathematics show that the nine together are the matrix for all of creation, all of it. It's it's creator.
It's interesting. So a lot of people, if you go on YouTube, you'll see like thousands of videos where they've created music tuned to one of them, which is called concert pitch, right? And that can be cool. And so, and then we also sell tuning forks based on the solfeggio scale. And I often think of, I mean, from a musical perspective, they are a dissonant tuning system, but from a sound healing perspective, they are certain binaural beats that create different brainwave states. So you can often look at it as dissonant because, I mean, it's not like the most beautiful music if you play it all at once. Although if you're doing it from a healing perspective, obviously it's really cool. But yeah, it's interesting because dissonance is a subjective experience. I mean, if I hear two frequencies that are a little off pitch, instead of going, oh, that's out of tune, I hear the binaural beats, which are a rhythm that are for a certain brainwave state. And I'm like, oh, cool. Now we're going into alpha.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating because we are very much socialized to what sounds correct. So, I mean, you look at different places around the world, they have a different scale that they use, right? And we are socialized here in North America with the diatonic scale. So
It's
that's what
technically, it's not a scale, it's a tuning system.
tuning system.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
tuning system versus a scale. A tuning system is the frequency of each note versus a scale is which notes.
as a former Royal Conservatory teacher, it was a scale in our verb, or
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, their tuning systems are like Pythagorean and just intonation, where they tune the frequency of each of the 12 notes to different things. And solfeggio is a certain frequency for each of the notes. Yeah, that. It's cool. It's interesting. So tell us, where do you play it on the body?
Um, well, someone would be lying on a massage table, and so I would put it on their chest and belly, maybe move the um, sound body right over their abdomen if I was working on that area, or I move it down on their upper legs or lower legs, depending on the issues that they're going through. But it's always the guidance that tells me where to put it. Um, when I'm placing it on the front of the body, it's about issues about going forward. And if I'm guided to tell the person to turn over on their stomach and I place it on their back, we're healing past issues.
Mhm. Cool, cool.
So when it's placed on the body, we know in music medicine that and even in the energy field, the sound vibrations then penetrate right through the skin, right through the bones into a cellular level.
Nice.
So they're penetrating if it's placed on the heart, the vibrations are going up to the brain and down to the feet. It's going everywhere all at once. It just, maybe more profound on the heart in that very instance. But when you're playing the harp just in the room, um, the vibrations affect everything in the room.
Cool. I'm curious about the actual research papers you did. You wanna talk about them at all?
Yes, I'm a member of the International Association for Medicine and Music, IAMM, as well as the interdisciplinary Society for Quantitative Research on Music and Medicine. So they have given me the opportunity, and as well as the International Association for Music Educators. So they're all international bodies of professional people who are very serious about music education, music medicine, and so they hold conferences online now. We used to be in person before COVID, but we do quantitative and qualitative research on people. So when I did mine, I had to go to Health Canada, get approval for the research because you're doing it on human subjects. And Then I had 120 people come into my practice to experience the sound. I hired a researcher who dealt with all the qualitative and quantitative research, because that's not my field. And that's Julia McKinley. So she and I put together our research papers and presented at these music medicine conferences, and they were very well received. We would give a sound experience to the people who were at the workshops as well, so they could experience it for themselves.
What
And
was it? What was it? What did you research?
we measured how it affected depression, anxiety, and
What was
pain.
it you were playing? Was it just regular music, or where?
No,
What
no,
were you? What was the music?
it was the Solfeggio sacred scale harp.
Oh, okay.
And I would also, like, I had flutes made up with the frequencies, and I used the tuning forks. So anything with the 9 frequencies,
Cool.
I used those in the sound, because that's what we were measuring. We did nothing diatonic or percussion, like, just with a
Okay.
drum. It was the 9 frequencies.
What was the
So,
outcome?
it was more powerful than medicine. It
I
proved to
mean, did you
be.
do a quantitative? I mean, do you have like a percentage effectiveness for the depression and stuff?
Yes. You're I don't remember the exact percentages now, but it was definitely notable.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and yes, in my research paper, so you'd have to go to ISQRMM, and you can buy the papers if you're interested, to get the exact quantitative, and there's qualitative information in there. But yeah, profound results. We did 3 sessions, 1 hour each, so a week apart, with these 120 people, and all across the 3 categories. It gave profound results. And this was really important. There's a lot of science people out there who maybe don't believe in this stuff. So it was really important to me, because I was seeing it, and the people in my practice were reporting it all. But you need to bridge it all together for those people that are right-brained and left-brained led in life, so we can all understand it. So that's why the research was really important.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, we've got about 1,000 research papers on our site for music and sound. That's really, really cool. Um, so um, what I'm really interested in is because um, the ultimately what I'd like to guide the research, because we have the Medical Sound Association with over 800 doctors and sound therapists working together in this area. And so the main goal of that research foundation is to figure out the research to do that will help the most people possible. Right.
Right.
And it's tricky to research music because it's so complex and there's so many parameters. I mean, I wrote the #1 selling book in the world in audio recording and producing, and there's so many variables, right? But what we're looking at is really interesting. And that is the actual music flowing through each of the medical systems in the body, each of the 11 medical systems, circulatory, respiratory, all the different systems, right? Not to mention the meridians. I mean, no one's ever looked at the melody. I mean, if you look at a meridian and you find the frequency of an acupuncture point, each one's got its own frequency. And when energy flows through a meridian, it's playing a melody at a very specific melodic progression, ba, da, 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 and a very specific rhythm, right? And so I've realized that those melodic progressions God created are like the archetypal melodies that sometimes when we play them, we go, whoa, right? And I think, wouldn't it be interesting if one of them was, or any of them were related to the solfeggio or
Right.
related to, I mean, whatever it is, it'd be really cool. And so when you say music medicine, I'm thinking that's real medicine now, when we're actually going into the music in the body. And it's all about smooth flow.
Yes.
Right?
Open flow
Yeah.
as well.
No blockages, open, smooth flow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm curious, what were the parameters that you were guided by to create the music for the kids? Because we're doing the whole program for the kids. So what was the kind of the guidelines you used for creating that music and nursery rhymes?
This is another whole fascinating subject because, you know, as a Royal Conservatory teacher, there was foundational music that we would start people learning, right? Mostly nursery rhymes, and
Was
our
that means simple melodies?
simple melodies like Twinkle, Twinkle, Little
Uh-huh.
Star, you
Hmm.
know, these little rhymes. Think of any Mother Goose nursery rhyme, right? These are 500 years old. So we become smarter over time. And with the research that I've done, and having my own babies and taking them to baby music classes too, I thought at that time that there's some of these nursery rhymes aren't very empowering. Um, you think about even Humpty Dumpty, he sits on this wall.
And he
Children,
falls.
he falls, you know, like children are very black and white thinking. So we need to incorporate the psychology into our wisdom of what we're doing, like our effect of music and rhythms on people, right? So there, you've got this little child who is absorbed with this, this icon sitting on the wall, falls, and I mean, despite all the king's horses and all the king's men, nobody can put Humpty Dumpty back together again. So psychologically, what we're starting these little people off in life with is, doesn't matter how hard you try, you're going to fall off. And we keep hearing stories like that, and that's the beginning of their life. This is not doing the brain any good at all. So I've looked at all of the nursery rhymes, kept the ones that were empowering, tweaked the words to, what could be a more positive, inspiring kind of story. So you're filling these little babies and children up with music that it lights up the whole brain. Like when we understand what music does, because it lights up the whole brain simultaneously. So you've got connection between all parts. And when you're filling it with inspiring stories and positivity, you're setting a groundwork for I can cope with life. That's what you're doing. And having gone through my in-laws in a nursing home, and the only way to reach my mother-in-law with dementia and Alzheimer's, to go in and she wouldn't even know what she had for breakfast or what was going on in the world, let alone my name. So I would go in and I would say, "Hello, it's Carla." Right away, the music lit up her brain. It was like a light bulb coming on, and then she knew who I was. It's like turning the light switch on, literally. And then we would do poetry with her, the rhythm, right? She knew poetry, so we would get the ones that she knew, she grew up with, and then we would start the lines, and then she could finish it. So this is These are the first foundational things that we teach people, are these nursery rhymes, and they're the last thing that people remember when you connect the dots of how to reach people with dementia and Alzheimer's. So if we start filling our new babies up, this next generation, with empowering music and rhythms that is going to teach good coping skills, then my thought, based on the research, is that you're going to have fewer and fewer people with these lacking in the coping mechanisms. They'll have this groundwork that our generations didn't have, right? We're having to heal through all this junk. And when you start off a pure baby with all this goodness, then they've got something they can come back in the moment of distress. They remember that little song, I can do it, I can do it, and so on. There's a lot of, really empowering melodies and words that we can put with it. So it was extremely important that I do this, because when the effects of music and rhythms and melodies on human development and the creation of diseases and so on, you want to look at, how can I prevent this? How can I get in there and make a difference, right, for the next generation, or even for adults who come into my practice now. Sometimes I'm playing lullabies, but I'm playing it with different words, and from a place of love. And that changes the brain's memory of what they learned when they were very little, and it overwrites a new story for them. So then they can go forward in a way that helps them to cope with what's going on in the world today.
I love it. We did a huge project for kids in the Montessori school. They had kids from 3 months all the way up to 18 years. So we were working with the babies. And now we've created a whole program for babies in utero for the parents to do as well. And from the research we studied, the number one thing is stable, consistent rhythms create neural pathways that are actually stable, consistent. I mean, that's one of the most basic. Melodies are really good as well. The other thing that we were doing that was really interesting is tapping on their body while doing the different vowels and the different consonants. So like ba, ba, with a wide open mouth so they could see the production of the vowels and the consonants. Ba, 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 ba. Ka, 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 right? And then ultimately looking for their rhythm, the way they're rocking back and forth, and doing it precisely to their rhythm. So you synchronize with them. There's another aspect that we're doing that is really interesting. And, at a certain age, around 2 or so, there's the brain trims. It's called trimming, where the brain actually gets rid of like 78% of the neural pathways. So as a baby, the baby's brain is way more complex and has way more possibility. And one of our instructors who has done detailed, she's got a whole PhD in this area in detail. She said that up to 6 and 9 months, babies are actually, you can play Beethoven and really complex things for them because they're totally connected to source and can handle it. And then after around a year, then you trim back to actually the lullabies, right? Because they're like light beings. They're light beings, when until they're like a year old. The other thing we're doing that's really interesting is to actually play all the different frequencies from low to high
Okay.
and all the different timbres, which means all the different syllables and all the different instruments there are from all different cultures, and music from all different cultures around the world. And the whole idea is to create as wide a range of frequency, vibrational neural pathways, which is what the body and brain is made of, as possible. So there, we have as little trimming as possible. So really activate those neural pathways in every area of sound and music and there is.
Yes, this is wonderful, David. I mean, you think about historically what happened in China, for example, is the emperors would all be musically trained, and to keep their people under control, they would only um, use certain notes with them, and they were limited in what they could play for the people because it kept them limited, which means they could control them. So, music over time is, and when we're exposing people to like a wide array of notes, you become wiser, higher to low. I love that. I love that you're doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's the other thing that's really cool in utero. Our whole goal is to get the parents and the kids completely addicted to sound and music and vibration before they get to kindergarten, so
They'll
that they
love it.
so
Yeah.
then they require it. They say you're not doing sound and music and vibration, in school, and that way we'll get it into the schools more, right?
Yeah.
Um,
This
for
is
the
really important. Yeah.
for the
It's really,
kids, go ahead.
well, when you think about the kind of music that can help us learn math more, like when
Yeah.
you put on, Bach's music, some of his preludes, it can help the brain organize. It can, help you itemize your list of to-do things very quickly. And like there's so much more we could be doing in the schools with music and
Yeah.
helping our kids learn math. Just put on some Mozart while you're teaching in the background, right? Or when they're studying. There's a lot to be done.
For reading, what I've realized is when you are reading well, you are totally singing a song, because we all sing when we speak, right?
Yes,
We're all singing, everybody's singing, we all sing in a certain key when we speak. But when you're reading, it's a rhythm and a melody that you're reading, actually. And the flow of that, what we we're talking about, smooth flow of the melody and rhythm, is what allows you to relax into the meaning without getting stuck in the notes.
right. Yeah, very cool.
Well, the
Yeah.
other last thing is, for the kids in utero, it's like to have the mother do just each of the 12 notes and tone them out loud, any vowel, and see which one is the most comfortable for the baby. Because the baby's got its own frequency, right?
Right.
That's really cool as well. And then the mom is doing toning and getting blissed out, which is the best ever for the kid as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the vibration that she's carrying through her bloodstream, through her thoughts and rhythms of vibration going down into the creation of the baby is important for her to understand.
The other part that this woman that teaches for us, she said that is just so critical, which is the stability, creates the stability you were talking about, is bonding. And
Yes,
that's a real problem because parents go to work, right? And then someone else is taking care of the babies. So we thought about actually having music that the parents create, and they're not only music and talking, so that the kids, and then you could create songs in the key of the singing that the parent does when they speak.
Right.
So the baby's getting inundated with that sound of the parent while they're in, in childcare.
Yeah, that's an amazing, yeah, that would help them build a lot of safety and security. I know when I was trying to take my youngest son and drop him off at daycare, I mean, he just cried and cried. That's awful. He just wanted me. And hears my voice and then he calms down. So this is wonderful.
Nice, nice. Well, thank you for the work you're doing, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, David. It's an honor.
All right. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.